Hi there, this is Shauna from the Foil Fox, and I'm here on Paper Tray Ink and Ink to Paper's YouTube channel. And it is that wonderful time of the month where there's a new release, and I have the pleasure of introducing you to a new stamp and die set called Seas of Life. It is a wonderful nautical one, great for Father's Day or for any man in your life or any woman that loves to sail or just loves the ocean. And then it has a matching die set, as you saw there. I'm also going to be using some scallop circles. I'm going to be using the center one, and then skinny stitched frame. I'm going to be using the large one for this. Then the papers I'm going to be using is a panel of craft, and then some white cards. I'm sorry, that is watercolor paper, and then some blueberry sky, and then some white cardstock. The blueberry sky is a paper tray ink as well as the craft paper. So I'm taking a panel of white cardstock, and I'm going to cut out everything that came with that die. I'm not going to be using the other pieces right now. I'm going to just be using the wheel and the anchor, but I did cut them out because I will use them from other projects. And as always, I'm using the negative space as my holder. I've put some tape runner on it so it's holding it in position. And I'm going to take the base stamps. So for the anchor and the wheel, both of them have a base stamp and a layering stamp. I'm going to just use the base right now, and I'm going to just match them up perfectly with that die cut, and then get them on the window just perfectly on the door. Ink them up. This is with craft, and then also with blueberry sky for the anchor. And then I'm going to spritz them and then ink these pieces up. And doing it this way, you get perfect placement, but also you can re-stamp it if you need to. And in fact, I'm going to leave, there's kind of some voids on the wheel, but I on that kind of steering wheel, so to speak. I'm sure there's a name for it. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to leave those because I like that, but I am going to ink up the anchor one more time. And then with that done, I'm going to now peel off those base stamps, and I'm going to put on the layering stamp. And I'm going to position that exactly over these pieces. Now there's a little void purposely on the layering stamp for the wheel, and I'm going to match that up to those areas that didn't stamp as heavily because I want to maintain that kind of look. And I'm going to use some cocoa bean and then Enchanted Evening for the anchor. And this will give it a nice shadow, a nice dimension to these pieces. I spritz it each time. Now with those done, I've set those aside, and I'm going on and I'm going to take the piece of watercolor paper, and there is these pieces that are the water. There's two of them. There's the base piece, which is this one, and now I'm just going to make these kind of strips. I'm going to make a little bit of water, but then I'm going to continue on to making the sky. I'm using blueberry sky here, and I am spritzing it up each time, and I'm kind of doing it kind of jagged here where it's offset from one another because I want to leave that kind of texture that this stamp gives. And I did some blueberry sky. Now I'm going on to summer sunrise and spritzing each time. That's really important. I'm using watercolor paper because I do want this ink to really move. Now I've moved on to the bright buttercup. You can use cold or hot press. This happens to be hot press. And then in these last stampings, I'm going to be using a little bit of blue with the bright buttercup. And I'm just stamping this little bit here because I'm going to cut out that circle with this, so I don't need a lot of it. I'm going to then spritz it really well with the water and get that moving a little bit and rub it a little bit so that I can blend it a little bit more. And now there is this water piece that's the layer of it, which gives a little detail. I'm using some Enchanted Evening here. And I'm going to stamp that, the water part, but then I'm going to also use the same stamp with a little bit of Summer Sunrise and Bright Buttercup. I'm just wanting to create a little bit of interest. I'm just going to keep stamping it until I think that I've got it the way I want it to. Then when that's dry, I'm going to cut out this circle. I'm going to position it here however I want it. It's the advantage of kind of stamping a bigger section. Next, I'm taking an A2 panel of Blueberry Sky. This is from Paper Tray Inks paper. And I'm taking dark indigo, and I just swiped it back and forth, and with a real light touch, but still with it going on there. And now I have a panel of the craft paper, and I cut out that frame. Now we have all these pieces together. You can see I have a white circle there, a right stitch circle. I don't know which one I use, but it's like a 3.5-inch circle. That so if you happen to have one, it is stitched around, and then you can use that one. And I put some foam tape on the back of this frame, these foam tape strips. And then I'm just going to put this in position because I took that blue and mounted it on a white card base. And now I'm taking that white circle and I'm going to put that in position. And then with the foam tape, so I can pop it up, I've taken our watercolor section. I'm going to position that right on top. And now you can see here's the two pieces that we did, and I'm going to take some twine here. I'm going to cut out a piece that is twice as long as I think I need it, probably a little bit longer yet. And what I'm doing is that holding it at one end and I'm twisting. I'm just twisting, twisting, twisting. And I'm going to continue to twist until I get a really, really, really tight twist. Then I'm going to put the two together and then let go. And then now I have a thicker twisted piece because I wanted it to be a little bit thicker, but not as thick as some of the twine that I had. So I tied a knot. I put it through the hole of the anchor and tied a knot. Now I'm just wrapping it around. I've got some foam tape on the back of my anchor. And now I'm going to just tie a knot where I think I want it and trim this off. Because I had a little more than I needed. And now I'm going to just let that piece, I'm going to trim off that little end of the knot. And I'm going to I have some foam tape on this piece as well. I'm going to peel that off and I'm going to put that in position. And then I have foam tape on the back of the anchor too, and I'm going to make sure that I get the release paper off the back of this. And I'm going to stick this down, making sure I have it kind of wound around the way I want it to. This is where the fussing really comes in. I always like to do a little bit of fussing. Now I'm going to put a little bit of glue down at the bottom of the anchor, and I'm going to just stick that down where I think I want it to be. It's not going to stay very well on its own, so I'm going to put something heavy over it to hold it down once I think that I've fussed with it long enough. And I'm going to just put that down for right now and let it sit. And while I do that, I'm going to do this sentiment. There's some great sentiments with this. I'm going to take this one that says, Dad, you're my anchor. And I'm inking it up with smoky shadow and stamping it onto white cardstock. And now I really like when it's cut out. Sometimes there's a die that'll do this for you, but you can do it really nicely on your own. And that's what I'm doing here. I just like having just the words. So I'm using just keeping a little bit of a white border around these words, and I'm just trimming around them. and it's pretty fast work. And so there's our sentiment, and it has some foam tape on it, and I stuck that down. And here's our card. It is all done. Great, ready for, in this case, for Father's Day. But like I say, it'd be great. It could also be, the sentiment could work for a birthday too. That would be perfect. But this is a great masculine card. Or like I say, anybody that enjoys the sea, you could make a card using this stamp and die set. I really hope that you enjoyed this project and that you're going to enjoy this new release. Here's a few of the items that we're using: Seas of Life, the scallop circle, the skinny stitched frame, and some assorted paper tray ink cubes. But you can pop over to blog.inktopaper.com and check out everything there. But you can also go to foilfox.com. We have all the supplies there that you could to do this project. So pop over there, and a complete supply list and tons more inspiration. I hope you enjoyed this project, and we will see you next time. Bye.